Hello guys and welcome back. So today we're actually going to have a look at the Jobeky Low Volume Cymbals. So last week we had a go and we have a bit of a review and a play about with the new rubber cymbals for them, which they haven't had so far. So those were all absolutely great. Again, I still don't have them incorporated in here because I still need to get a few more stands and some boom arms and stuff. But today we're going to talk about the low volume cymbals, which we have a whole set here. I have a few cymbals which are not set up because if you remember, I actually mentioned that I have two 16-inch crashes, an 18-inch ride, an 18-inch china, a two-part 14-inch hi-hat, which the bottom bit is actually here. We're going to go into a bit more detail on that one and also on the controller because someone asked me about the controller for the hi-hat. So we're going to go a bit more detail into that one. And I also got these really cool 10-inch splashes. So that's why I also needed, a few more clamps and a couple more boom arms to get all these set up as well, and hopefully also get the two or the three rubber cymbals included in here. It might just be fun, to be honest with you. Now, these low volumes are available in the standard bronze color, like you would have with any traditional acoustic cymbal. Then you would have also a very sleek, almost like a gunmetal grey type finish, which is also, really good looking. But I went for the black ones. Now, if you remember, the reason why I went with the black ones was because when I had the TD50, I needed to replace two of their pads. So a CY15 and a CY13 just self-choking all the time. I couldn't be bothered with it anymore. Let's just say that a few things were, I wish that the outcome would have been better. However, I needed to replace them. So what could I do? After speaking with both Jane and Colin, I came around to these ones. I said, I'll give them a try. And the main reason why I went for these rather than just replace with another rubber cymbal was the fact that they were available in black. And they had just come out at the time. I remember I saw a post that Jane put on their Facebook message or Facebook page saying, now available in black. And I was like, oh, that's great. So reason is because I had the VH13, so black. I had the 18-inch digital ride, so black, and I was replacing two black cymbal pads. So I said, that's the way to go. Ever since, I absolutely love them. And bear in mind, I was using them live, and I was just laying into them without any problem whatsoever. Incredibly responsive. And what I've noticed was that even if I just want to play with a tip, like, just little phrasings on the cymbals, they feel a whole lot better to play than the rubber pad because it's still metal at the end of the day, so they react a little bit more like a traditional cymbal anyway. So if I just, they're not really loud anyway, but can hear it with the tip. So just like hitting them. So, and that is as loud as it's going to go. But they are incredibly cool to play. So they sound and feel, not sound per se, because the sound, it's depending on what you're having coming through the module, obviously, but they do feel a whole lot better than the traditional rubber pad. So that was definitely one of the things that, just took me straight to them. Now, when I decided to part ways with my TD50, I said, what am I going to do now? Now, I knew that I wanted to do an A to B conversion, as you can see in here. So 10, 12, 14 toms. I also have an 8 lying somewhere around, which at one point I had the photo of the 10, the 8, the 12 and the 14 set up. 18-inch bass drum. Now, the ride is also available in 20-inch. But I decided to go with the 18. First of all, I was sort of like used to it from, the digital ride from Roland's. It's an 18-inch bass drum, so I don't want anything, absolutely massive. So 18-inch ride it was, two 16-inch crashes because it's more than enough. balances it out right on both sides. The China, unfortunately, or fortunately, it all depends the way you see it, but it's only available in 18 inches. Splashes, again, these little beauties here, are also only available in 10 inch, so they don't have the 12 on this one, and then the 14-inch hi-hat. Now, that was another cool thing about these that I really like, is the fact that I have the same size hi-hat that I have on my acoustic kit. So that was what led me to, just take the plunge, go with a full set of low volume cymbals, and I have to say, absolutely thrilled with it. They're responsive, they feel better to play with the stick, and I'm using wood tips because I've always used wood tips even on the acoustic. But then I went a little step forward, or a step further in this case, because I knew that they also did some mesh heads, but I was trying to avoid very springy mesh heads, i.e. double ply mesh heads, because although yes, they're nice to play and everything, they're nice and silent, but I didn't particularly want to get anything too springy. Again, at pretty much the same time, Colin and Jane announced that they were having now a 3-ply mesh head. So again, that's the road that I went down. 3-ply mesh heads all around. The only one that I had to source somewhere else was the kick, because unfortunately they do have 20-inch bass drum triple ply, 22-inch triple ply, but they did not have an 18. So instead of say, can you source an 18 out for me, because I'm pretty sure that there's not a lot of people doing conversions with 18-inch bass drums, I just went in this case to a competitor and got again a triple ply mesh head in 18 inches. Now, what else did I need? Obviously, I needed triggers. So with the triggers, I went side mounted triggers for all the toms, and I went with a 4-spoke trigger for the snare drum. However, at one point I decided to let me see how would the snare be with a side mounted trigger rather than the 4-spoke one, which is a central trigger. So it's a center mounted trigger. So I removed that one. This snare currently is rocking a side mounted trigger. I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. It eliminated a little bit more machine gunning, which is great. It is possible to improve it with a center mounted one, going through all the trigger settings on the Mimic Pro module, just like it is on Roland's and so many other ones. Some more than others, unfortunately, but I think that the side mounted one actually works pretty damn well. So I'm going to keep it for the time being. It's great. I quite like it. So it's just see what's going to happen, but I have to say they are awesome products. Cymbals, mesh heads, triggers, and one thing that I would like everyone just to bear in mind, because sometimes on the Jobeky fan page on Facebook, or even sometimes on their own page, there seems to be some people which seems to be just incredibly impatient. Oh, I emailed and it took a while, blah blah blah, they haven't got back to me. A very simple thought is cool to keep on the back of your mind, which is the fact that it is a family business. We're not talking about a worldwide massive corporation. No, they are incredibly passionate for what they do. They're dedicated to what they do. They offer an incredible amount of support as well. It's just that trying to source the parts, waiting for the parts, especially with all this that's been going on since March of last year. Plus Brexit, unfortunately we have to touch on that subject because it delayed a lot of stuff. Plus the fact that then Colin, manufacturers, especially with the triggers and everything, then assembling the kits, sending out kits, and there are delays. But if sometimes anything, if you just put something in there, every now and again I actually do tag Jane along, and Jane immediately sees it and she replies to everyone. Everyone always gets a reply. It's just a matter of being a bit more conscious about the fact that it's a family-run business. It's Jane, looking after the day-to-day operation, which she's doing amazingly well. Colin, bless him, working tirelessly to try and develop new products, try and think about other things. Recently with the new rubber cymbals that came out. And then they also have now their daughter, helping out. So it really is a family thing. So everyone in the UK, it's a UK company. What's not to like? Just support local businesses. I think that now more than ever is something that is incredibly relevant. So I've done it, and I think that everyone who's considering doing something like this should do as well. If you head on to their website, which is jobekydrums.co.uk, you'll see all of the low volume cymbals in there in the 3 different colors. You'll see the new rubber cymbals that we talked about last week, and you'll also see another array of electronic cymbals that they have, which are based on real cymbals. And yeah, everything is available there. Price-wise, something like this costs, let's say, half the price of a well-known competitor. So let's just put it that way. So it's down to how you want to look at things. But if you're happy with rubber pads, again, they also have a new range. If you want something that feels a bit more like a real cymbal, then you have the low volume ones for me. They're not too loud. The drum heads are also great, the 3-ply ones. They're not as springy as, let's say, standard 2-ply. And I saw an immense difference from my TT50 to these ones. The triggers respond incredibly well. What else? The trigger on the bass drum, I forgot to mention that one. That is a straight bar trigger. So center mounted, but it's a bar trigger that you can also find on their website. If you need cables, they also sell the cables, the triggers, the mesh heads, the cymbals. It's like a one-stop shop to get an A to E conversion. Otherwise, you can also say, I would like to buy one of your drum kits, and they do that conversion for you. So it arrives to you, everything already done. You don't have to worry about anything, setting up triggers, you don't have to worry about any of that. They take that legwork from you. And then you can even say, I also don't have a module. What module can I have? Or what would you like to have? And they can supply any of their kits with Roland, 2-box, I believe, Elisa's Strike, and also my beloved Pearl Mimic Pro. So yeah, it is worth checking them out. Cymbals are great. I'm just going to go now behind there, and I'm actually going to do one thing. I'm going to play the kit as it is. No drum sound whatsoever, just the acoustic sound of this, so that you can also have a little bit of an idea of how does everything sound acoustically. And you'll see it's not, higher or louder than a traditional rubber pad, especially for the cymbals. The mesh heads are pretty much the same. The only difference is if you have a pad which is about that deep, let's say like a PDX 100, you don't have any resonance chamber in there. These ones you do. Now, bear in mind, I have not swapped the drum heads on the resonance side yet. I will do at some point, and possibly I might just go with a single ply mesh head because it doesn't particularly matter. But in this case, all the toms, the snare and the bass drums still have regular drum heads on the resonance side. But in a way it's quite cool, and you'll see why. So be right back. Just gonna go jump in the back.